Hey everyone, and welcome to Going Deeper Encouragement with me, Steve Haynes. So good to have you join us. And today I want to read a really interesting scripture to you that I was reading in my quiet time this morning, and it's found in the book of Revelation. So already you are thinking it's going to be a strange one, because the book of Revelation is one that a lot of believers have fear about reading, don't understand it. But don't worry, I want to touch on something else in Revelation. And it's found in Revelation 5. And in this passage of scripture that we're going to look at, we actually read a detailed account of what was revealed to the Apostle John in this revelation about who Jesus is and what he looks like. And I'm going to read it for you. Now, if I was to ask you this question before I read it, what do you think God looks like? When you have an image of God, what do you think he looks like? Who do you think, or what do you think Jesus looks like? Now, I know there are a lot of debates about that, but look at this description. This is in Revelations 5, verse 6, and it says, "Then I saw a lamb, looking as if it had been slain, standing in the center of the circle, encircled by the four living creatures and the elders." Now, that's cool because we all know Jesus was a lamb that was slain before the foundations of the earth, but we're going to read on. "He had 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth. He came and took the scroll from the right hand of him who sat on the throne. And when he had taken it, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp, and they were holding golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of the saints." Okay? And this is describing Jesus. Now, it's interesting because if I probably started this little segment by saying, "Did you know that Jesus has got 7 eyes and 7 horns?" you would have just been like, "No ways, that's not him." But this is what was revealed to John. Now, what are you saying, Steve? Why is that so important for us? Well, when I was studying at university, one of the things that we learned in theology was a phrase called anthropomorphism. And I'm going to read to you what the definition of anthropomorphism is. And this is from Wikipedia, but it's actually correct. So don't worry, I don't normally take my stuff from Wikipedia, but it puts it as this way. Anthropomorphism is the attribution of human traits, emotions, or intentions to non-human entities. Okay, it actually comes from 2 words. Anthropo, which means human. Okay, so if you study anthropology, it has to do with human characteristics and that. So anthropo is the human side, and morphism speaks about your form, taking on the form of a man. Now, when theologians speak about this concept, what they are saying is that God takes on human form so that we can actually identify with him. We can have a better understanding of who he is, because we have to remember that God is a spirit, first and foremost. He's not a man. So the greatest form of anthropomorphism is actually Jesus, because he came down in a form of a man. He came down to earth, put on flesh, but he was around from the creation of the world or before. He's around for all eternity, and forever eternity will be. But what happened in Revelation here is that John saw God for who he was. He was a lamb that was slain, but he wasn't just a man that was standing there. Now, I say all these things because I'm not wanting to just blow your mind with regards to what God looks like. We will spend eternity getting to know what God looks like. But have you ever thought about this? The length to which God will go to reach out to us. The length that he will go to make sure that we can connect with him. Because you see, when I read that, I struggle to even connect with it because it's a creature that I've never seen before. I wouldn't even know how to react to that. But yet Jesus as a person is someone I can relate to. Jesus as a person is someone that I know I can learn to, or I can love, because I understand human emotion, I understand who he is. And God literally puts on flesh to reach us. There's one other person who spoke about this, and that's the Apostle Paul. And in Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 9, verse 20, says the following: "To the Jews I became like a Jew to win the Jews. To those under the law, I became like one under the law, though I myself am not under the law, so as to win those under the law. To those not having the law, I became like one not having the law, although I am not free from God's law, but am under Christ's law, so as to win these not having the law. To the weak, I became weak to win the weak. I have become all things to all men, so that by all possible means I may save some. I do all this for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in his blessings. And my friend, here's the take-home point. Here's the challenge that I leave with you. God recognized that in order to bridge the gap between us and him, he had to humble himself. He had to take on our characteristics and traits so that we could reach out and touch him. In the same way, the Apostle Paul is saying that in order for me to reach people, I had to become like a Jew. I had to become weak. I had to put all these things onto me so that I could reach some with the gospel. And here's my challenge, is that so often we get caught up in our own lives. We're like, I'm not willing to change anything about myself. Well, my friend, God was and Paul was. What are you willing to change to bridge a gap with someone else? What are you willing to change in your life to become weak for the weak, to become like a Jew for the Jew? When you're dealing with someone who's coming with a totally different perspective from you, are you willing to actually step down from your position for a moment? And I'm not talking about compromise, don't get me wrong on this, but I'm talking about to what length are you willing to go to reach out and bridge a gap, to reach out and touch a person. Paul was willing to do it for the gospel. Are you willing to do it? Who are the unsaved people that God is saying, would you reach out, be the bridge for that person, be the bridge? And it might mean that you've got to be willing to do some things in the way you are around them, with the way you treat them, as a way of reaching out to them that they can identify with you. And so thank you so much for joining. I hope this has been an encouragement. Go and check it out, Revelations 5 and 1 Corinthians 9. It's been great having you with us. If you enjoyed this, don't you want to subscribe, press the notification bar underneath the tab, or if you're on WhatsApp, send it to your friends, share it out there. Let's get the word out there. So thank you so much for joining. God bless. Have an awesome day.